Somebody asked a very important question. The person asked, what if your inverter cannot power what your NEPA and generator can power? Will the connection still be the same? The answer is no, and I would explain how you are going to connect it if your inverter cannot power what your NEPA and generator can power, or even if your generator is different. And if you don't understand what the hell is going on here, pause this video, enter my page, you will see the videos of where we started with the 2 changeovers. And if you are still here, I suppose you understand what the hell is going on here. So let's get right into it. So in this case, let's say the inverter is 5 kilowatt like I've written over here, and we'll have the NEPA, we'll have the generator. Supposedly you're using a big generator and you have NEPA as well, but this 5 kilowatt inverter is unable to power everything in your small house. Because why I said small house is some people, they will say it is just 2 rooms, but what they have in that 2 rooms, some people don't have it in their 5 bedrooms. So the inverter 5 kilowatts is lesser than what you have in your small house, so your inverter won't be able to power every single thing. How do you then do the connection? So you will do something we'll call a load separation, and this is how to do it. Load separation is where a single source of power or multiple source of power powers a certain load in the apartment or in your house or in the building. You understand? Let me show you how it will be done. So in this case, let's say you have plenty things in your house that is over 10 kilowatts. Normally your 5 kilowatt inverter won't be able to power that. So doing this connection will be a total disaster, because you won't even say, okay, whenever you want to use the inverter, you go and turn off some appliances, and whenever the NEPA is back, you go and put on the NEPA. It doesn't make any sense. It is stressful. You have to be going to your changeover every now and then. And what happens when NEPA is available? You remember the power goes through the inverter and you're using the inverter to power things, and NEPA suddenly goes off. What happens? Your system will shut down, and if you are not lucky, it will blow up your inverter, except you'll be doing the manual changeover from the 2 changeovers. But to avoid all this stress, you do a load separation. So in this case, this is our inverter 5 kilowatt. It went through the second changeover, it came to the apartment or the building. Now we are going to bring in another source to this point. This point where I call the apartment or the building or the load is where you have the distribution board. So this is what a distribution board looks like. If you are doing an inverter installation and in your client apartment you have this type of distribution board, it is called a 3-phase distribution board. What it means is that 3 sources of power can get into that distribution board, or you can put a 3-phase line in that distribution board. You see the breaker has 3 poles, so we're going to be using that to do our load separation in this case. Let me make this our building a bit taller so I can introduce the second source to it. So this is our building where we'll have the distribution board. You understand? We now need another source, so we'll call this source A. So we're going to be needing another source that we'll call B. So the A source is the one coming from where? From the inverter and also the first changeover. So now source B will now have to come from this angle where the inverter is taking the input, which is the output of the NEPA and generator. So source B is going to tap power from here, and this is the lifeline, right? Goes this way, and also tap power from here, the neutral line, and goes this way. So we'll have neutral and we'll have live. So now we'll have source A and we'll have source B, which goes to the distribution bus, and we're going to break down what will happen inside the distribution board, how the inverter will power some certain load. But let me explain it the way you would understand before we start breaking it down. So what will happen here now is NEPA and generator will charge the inverter, right? They would as well come to this changeover, but also they will not go directly to the distribution board. So from here on the line, or the source of power for the NEPA generator, is where you now be connecting your sumo pump, your electric cooker, your boiler, your electric griller, you know, those heavy appliances you have that your inverter won't be able to power. Your pressing iron, that's what will go to the what? To the source B, which is the NEPA and generator. And the source A will now be other light load, like your light, your fan, maybe one base, since this is 5 kilowatts, and probably your fridge, because you want your fridge to always be powered by solar, right? So that will go to source A. So this way, even if there is light, that is NEPA lights, and your changeover A is obviously on the NEPA side, so NEPA is coming out from this line, coming to this end, but your changeover B is on the inverter, which means it is taking power from the inverter to what? To the source A. That your NEPA would as well go from here to where? To the source B. So every single thing in your house will still be powered on. And what happens is the NEPA goes into the inverter, it bypasses and also enters the source A. So at that point in time when the NEPA light is available, you have NEPA in both source A and source B, powering every single thing in your apartment and also charging your battery through the inverter. Immediately the NEPA goes off, power will go off from what? From source B, but inverter will take over immediately. That's the battery will start supplying electricity through the inverter, and source A will remain on. That's why you notice whenever they take the light, it will be only those your big ACs that will go off. The lights, the small fridge, the other things, the fans, the TV will remain on. You won't even know the power has gone off because you did the connection this way. So this is basically how to do the connection when your inverter is unable to power every single thing in your household. If you find this video helpful, make sure you like, share and click the follow button for more videos like this.